I'm happy to talk.
Hey, everybody, it is my pleasure to welcome back the greatest trial lawyer in American law history, Jim Brosnahan. And he has a book that you should get. And I'm going to uh, go solo so you can see me and just. I can't remove him from the stage, but I think what I'm going to do is like turn it like this. But it's called Justice at the Crossroads, I believe it is. Courtroom battles
Justice
and
at trial.
Justice at Trial, Courtroom Battles, and Groundbreaking Cases there. That's his book. You got to get it. It's outstanding. It's about really, it's sort of a memoir on your legal life, eh?
Yes, and the story of what I overcame when I was a kid, and then the cases, some of the more interesting cases that I handle over 60-year period. So I enjoyed writing it, and I hope the readers are enjoying it.
When is the movie coming out?
Oh my. Um, I mean, who would play me is what you're thinking, right? I mean, we would need we would need someone of mature years, but that would be nice to have a movie. That'd be good.
I know who could play you. Uh, Gerald McCoy.
Okay.
Yeah, great character actor. Gerald McCoy
Yeah.
could. Yeah, yeah. He was in. I remember him from the House of Cards, the American version.
Yes.
Yeah, he could play you. Uh, that's something else. But hey, um, we have some major league issue here with President Donald Trump, who, as we speak, is in Davos. Uh,
Yes.
hey, but the last time you and I talked, we were just going over uh, the executive orders he was writing and the impact on the legal system. But I got to ask you, did you think then that we would be here now talking about what this man has done to this point in time?
I'm going to be honest with you and confess that I was concerned at that time. I was very concerned, actually, and had an image in my mind of what are some of the things he could do. But I thought that he would be stopped uh, within the law, legally. And I thought that lawyers would step up, and some of them have courageously, but some of them have not. I thought the court system would be effective in stopping him. The Supreme Court has made a choice as to which side in a split country they want to be on. And they decided they want to go with Donald Trump, and they've done that. They've done it in a number of ways and added immunity to their grants to Donald Trump. They gave him immunity the first time in 500 years that it wasn't the law that no person is above the law. We don't have time to talk about the history of that rule, but there were an awful lot of people that fought for that rule to be the rule, and they changed it as though it was nothing. And I think it's one of the worst decisions that the Supreme Court has ever enacted for a lot of reasons and all that. So now he's attacked everybody. He has a temperament that glowers at the American people on a daily basis. That to me is very strange. He has severed effectively, I think, as of the moment at least, our relationships formed after the Second World War with the European community and with England, even. And we have so much in common with those countries as distinguished from Russia or China in some ways, um, that I don't know what his policy is. And I think there's a problem that he has, which is he never sees the second or third step.
Mm.
He's given to announcing a big, bold idea, like Venezuela, for example, and then he doesn't see that second step or third step in Greenland. He doesn't see that maybe the European community, who has sworn to defend Greenland, might actually put a few troops in there to oppose what he wants to do. So I'll stop there for the moment, but that's the way I see it now. And the I've had and still have an idealistic view of law, lawyers, judges. I spent my life in front of them, the judges, and I think we'll come out of this. But at the moment, it's shaking up a lot of people.
Yeah, and on that note too, it seemed he. I'll just go here. I'll go here, and I'll just say that I am continuously concerned that when I take my Russian translation to English publications of news from Moscow, some of it mainstream, some of it not, I see a consistent refrain that Putin and his ally, his aides, are happy with Trump. And there's one who's George Dmitriev, who was his predecessor, who's now, I believe, in the cabinet, who literally verbally thumbs his nose at Ukraine and believes that taking over Ukraine is a foregone conclusion. And he writes this with all the glee of a schoolgirl in love with a kid, with a boy she's been after for some time. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, what is the end game for them where he has to, being the president, take all these actions that are they're multifaceted and daily. And then when I come away from it, I see two things. First of all, it seems like in the background there's some Trump company that's making money for him to the tune now of reportedly $1.4 billion this year. And then I saw something else, Jim, that really concerned me, and I'm trying to figure out how to word it. So I'll just go for it because I figured out how to word it. You were talking about, and we talked about before, but it wasn't as bad then as it is now, this lockstep behavior that Republicans.
I agree. I agree.
Right. I discovered something. And I believe it's smoke that points to a possible fire. There is a sitting congressperson that ran for office around here in where I am, Georgia, won in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
During the period that he was campaigning, he started a public relations company. And I'll say the name of it, Keon Public Relations. They started it, he and the colleague who's an attorney in Tyrone, Georgia, started it in August of 2023 as a Georgia corporation. But then after this person won the congressional seat, it was terminated 2 months later. Now you would say, okay, what's the big deal, Zennie? Well, this person's financial disclosure was such that he was said to have had a stake of ownership in this company worth $500,000. And then this organization had 4 or 5 different clients that paid basically half that 500,000, all of them tied to other sitting Republican representatives, like at the time Kevin McCarthy. Mm-hmm. And I thought, wow. And so in my continued search, a result popped up that was in Belarusian. I thought, why would I see a Belarusian result about an American LLC having to do specifically with this congressman. And I started playing a thought. And this, maybe this is, they say is a theory that fits the facts, right? This is a theory that fits the facts. Maybe it was a front from which to funnel foreign money to aid this person in running for Congress. This person also worked for President Trump during his first term. And I'm thinking, and I my blood ran cold because I thought, okay, now I see the lockstep. No one does anything, as you and I both know, without money being involved at a level to the point of directing their behavior. But then we stop at because we don't want to be, sued and everything else. But then when something looks like a duck, walks like a duck, and seems to talk like a duck, you got to say, hey, that's a duck. I could be wrong, Jim, but this looks like a duck, because if this is a picture, a microcosm of what other Republicans have been involved in, then I think now we see where the leash comes from.
Well, I don't know anything about what you're referring to, but just reading the papers, it's become evident that the presidency can be a money-making deal, and I don't think it could be denied by anybody. And then you begin to wonder about the conflicts, and then you begin to wonder about the effect on policy. Is it if somebody is speaking hypothetically here, if someone is the source of a whole lot of money that they're giving, not just to your campaign, but to other ways of giving it to a candidate, then you begin to wonder how is that candidate responding? And there is an atmosphere at the moment that I have not witnessed in the rest of my life. In fact, as far as the surface of things was concerned, politicians were pretty careful, best they could. What has happened is the amount of money on the contribution side of things that you need to get reelected. I remember years ago, there was a California Senator, Cranston, who I knew to say, I knew to say hello to. And he told me for over the 6 years of his term, he had to raise $10,000 a day.
Whew.
So where is that money going to come from? And who is it out there contributing these huge amounts? So the atmosphere has been set, and it affects other people. They're still working on, should Congress people be able to invest in things that are floating around in the Congress? Wouldn't they perhaps have inside information? That's Democrats and Republicans.
Yep.
So we have to clean that up. I hear a wonderful argument by Democrats that one of the big things pending is to clean up the politics in America, because it makes us cynical about what we have to know what it's really like. And we don't want to know that corruption is really the way it is. We don't want that, most of us.
And yet here we are, because I think that I was thinking as I was hearing you and then recounting what I was explaining, what I was reminded of is the existence of the persons who funded January 6th. And even though I can't remember the whole list of names, there is one woman that comes to mind who was then and still very well may still be on the board of directors of Publix. And she put in $300,000 of her own money into that effort. And so when I think about the whole, I'm thinking, all right, how easy is it for, I mean, what can a person do? Can you look at the finances of an LLC that's been killed? Can you go and dig up the bank records? Is that possible? Um, is it?
It would depend on your what's called standing. In other words, how if you're going to sue, how are you aggrieved? Be a taxpayer. There's fraud against the government. There's a lot of cases where fraud against the government is the basis of a case. And what really happened on the 6th? What really happened was that a rowdy group breaking windows and storming the Capitol to prevent the peaceful passage of power from the person who had won the election to Donald Trump, who claimed he had won the election. That's what really happened. I don't think there's any question about that's what happened. And if you talk fast enough and go to invade Venezuela the next day or something, you can cover it up that way. And that was effectively done. I think one of the saddest things in our history was that the people responsible for that event were pardoned.
Yes.
And the president himself gave a speech that, to me, in my opinion, was incitement for them to go into the Capitol. It was incitement. That's the legal term. If you're guilty of incitement, you don't have to do it yourself. You get other people to do it. So that's some of the history of it. I think I might say one other thing. I talked yesterday on the subject of Supreme Court, and I think people are really on edge. They're trying to figure out, the people I talk to, is this going to last?
Yeah.
Is this going to be a dictatorship now from now on? It is, my view, at the present time, today, right now. It's January 21st, and 2026.
Mhm.
And is this the way we go? Is this like the Romans with Caesar? And he was the first, and then it followed for 400 years. And where are the leaders that have so much at stake in this economy and in this government? Where are they? What are they doing? So it's a funny time. It's a very strange time, I think. I think a lot of people think the same.
And then with ICE and the ICE agents, they're really like the Nazi shock troops of today. And I never thought I'd seen anything like this in my entire life.
Well, I had 2 cases against ICE. In both of those cases, they were as you see them now on TV. In one of the cases, a U.S. citizen with a limited mental capacity was put on a bus and dropped in Tijuana and wandered around with a mental breakdown for 3 months, eating food out of a garbage can. And then his mother was looking in the coroner's office to see if his body was there for the 3 months. And we sued them, and we got a good judgment from them finally. But the attitude, not only by the agents themselves who testified, but by the supervisors, was arrogance as deep as I've ever seen it. ICE, in my view, is the least disciplined of any police force in this country. And you know what? They were selected, in this case, for that very reason. And someone, I could guess, someone has instructed them to be as rough, visibly as they can be on TV or on cameras, roughing up people. The Pope came out, American Pope, and talked about the sanity that was necessary to respect people. If you're going to deport them, that's one thing. Although you have to do it in accordance with the law. I'll tell you this, I would love to be called and somebody tell me, we want you to go talk to the president and talk about due process. And there I am in my delusion in the White House and saying, now, Mr. President, let me explain to you due process. Before you can deport a person who's lawfully in the country, here's what you have to do. You have to be in a court. You have to take the time to do it. Oh, they are lawless, out of control, unsupervised. Don't tell me that nice lady who comes on television tells us what a great thing is they're doing. Don't tell me that I should admire her. I don't. She's. I'll stop there.
No, no. Hey, keep going. I'll just say it. What I'm afraid of is this is a man, and no one seems to really talk about this. This guy's got his finger on the button, Jim.
Yep.
He has his finger on the doggone button. And we talk about, okay, he made 1.4 billion, right? That's the emoluments clause. Well, go and arrest him.
Well, who would do that? The Department of Justice? Not really. Who would do that? The FBI? Not really. We've had no time where the control by the president was greater than it is today. There's been, in my lifetime, and reading history, which I do some of, I don't know of a period where all the sources of power were under the control of one person. And that person then uses threats against anybody. You give a speech against him, he'll get you investigated.
Yep.
And then it goes on TV, and a decent person who's lived their life and contributed perhaps in politics or otherwise has to defend themselves.
I want to share something with you from Twitter. Bear with me because I got to pull up this screen. And so it's open settings here. So it allows me to do that. Hold on a second. I'm going to slide this over and then go to there and share. And there that is. Okay. So then I would have to add this to the stage. Yep. And so we are there. And I have to actually change the vocal settings, the audio, so that I can make absolutely certain that we can hear this, because the echo cancellation on StreamYard tends to be weird. So if my voice sounds a little bit weird, it's because I just turned off echo cancellation. And here's President Trump at Davos, which I might add, made it safely too. I don't know if you heard about that, Jim. You can still hear me, right?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know if you heard about what happened with Air Force One taking.
I didn't.
Yeah, no. Oh my Lord! It took a plunge into darkness. This happened at 4:00 in the morning.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it took a plunge into darkness. It had a awful electrical problem that they said was minor, but my thought, having traveled a lot on United Airlines, because I went with United Airlines to this day, so I've traveled a lot. When a plane has a minor problem, that minor problem is fixed. You get back on the plane. But when a plane has a major problem, that problem gets fixed and you don't get back on the plane. And you don't see it, right? This plane, the Air Force One, was put to be repaired, and they took Air Force Two and then called Air Force Two to Air Force One in the call. All right? So he finally makes it. And then when he makes it, he unleashes this speech. And, here's part of him at Davos.
And I realized in that conversation that the United States is keeping the whole world afloat Many places. I could give you 6, 7 places just in the people in this little area. I know every one of them. They're looking down. They don't want to see me, and they don't want to stare me in the eyes. And I realized in that conversation that the United States is keeping the whole world afloat. Many places. I could give you 6, 7 places just in the people in this little area. I know every one of them. They're looking down. They don't want to see me, and they don't want to stare me in the eyes. And I realized in that conversation that the United States is keeping the whole world afloat. Many places. I could give you 6, 7 places just in the people in this little area. I know every one of them. They're looking down. They don't want to see me, and they don't want to stare me in the eyes. And I realized in that conversation.
Okay, that's a repeating loop. There's one, and then there's more.
Yeah.
There's,
He was.
oh, here's the
tape-
highlights.
something wrong with the tape.
Without us.
Say again. Say again.
There's something wrong with the tape.
There is. You couldn't hear it well.
No, I heard it. Did he really repeat himself?
No, he didn't. It was a loop. I'll repeat it once so you can hear it clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that, because I myself thought, oh, he's repeating that, and then I thought, wait a minute, it's only 20 seconds. So let me go back out of fairness and play that correctly. Here it is. Okay, it's 20 seconds.
And I realized in that conversation that the United States is keeping the whole world afloat. Many places. I could give you 6, 7 places just in the people in this little area. I know every one of them. They're looking down. They don't want to see me, and they don't want to stare me in the eyes. And
okay, that's where it stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where it stopped, because Trump, USA One is saying Trump points to leaders of other nations in the audience and says they didn't want to look at me in the eyes right now because they know it's true. The United States is keeping the whole world afloat. Then there's another one from Zito. It says, President Trump is back on the world stage for another rambling, hour-long speech in which he confused Greenland with its neighbor multiple times, Iceland, and showed his creativity with math. And here's that.
right now you'd all be speaking German and a little Japanese, perhaps. I settled 8 other wars: India, Pakistan, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Iceland. They loved me. They called me daddy, right? Last time. A smart man said, he's our daddy. The problem with NATO is that we'll be there for them 100%, but I'm not sure that they'd be there for us. If we gave them the call, they're not there for us on Iceland, that I can tell you. I mean, our stock market took the first dip yesterday because of Iceland. We want a piece of ice for world protection, and they won't give it. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force. But I won't do that. The cost of prescription drugs is coming down by up to 90%, depending on the way you calculate. You could also say 5, 6, 7, 800%. There are 2 ways of figuring that. I'll be announcing a new Fed chairman in the not too distant future. I think he'll do a very good job. So he gave away some of it. He did give that away. So we have something, got something. Minnesota. We actually are helping Minnesota so much, but they don't appreciate it. I know Gavin was here. I used to get along so great with Gavin when I was president. Gavin's a good guy. I will say this, if I were a Democrat governor or whatever, I would call up Trump.
News flash, by the way. I'll tell you after that about Gavin. Hold on.
Say, come on in, make us look good. I know so many people from Switzerland, incredible place, incredible, brilliant place. But I then realized that they're only good because of us. And there's so many other examples. I mean, us, probably other places. The Spanish flu in World War I ended because all the soldiers were sick. The soldiers were so sick on both sides from the Spanish flu. They were sick as dogs. They couldn't fight.
Well, I have not. Yeah, I was going to say I have not seen that. So I want to see it, and you know, because I'm having trouble believing that he said all those things. So I want to hear it. Now I'm sure they'll have it on TV, and
It's on YouTube.
yeah,
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
I can't comment
I'll send it to you.
because I'm not a psychiatrist. I've known a lot of them. In fact, I've cross-examined a lot of them, but I don't know what he was trying to say really. And you say he went on for an hour? My goodness.
I watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Went on for an hour. I followed Davos Forum for years. Always wanted to go. Have you been? I've never been. But the Davos Forum.
Oh, no.
I have, no. Yeah, had the singular distinction of having Emma, the actress, a famous actress whose name just flew out of my mind. That's embarrassing. But she answered one of my questions at Davos on YouTube, which I thought was quite an honor. At any rate, but back to what he did. He cut off Gavin from speaking. Gavin was scheduled to speak. The Trump administration personally cut him off at Davos. Cut off Gavin. So you can't speak. I texted him, so we're friends. I said, find some kind of way to get on anyway. Do it, this is La La Land, literally. And I don't mean LA either, Jim. I don't I don't know how to describe it other than the way that I'm talking about it. And it really, again, I keep coming back to this. Vladimir Putin loves this. And how do you avoid using the T word? Okay. Given the range of what Trump is doing to this point and how they all tie up and how he's attacking our allies and rewarding our enemies.
I am particularly sensitive when he has attacked San Francisco, a city in which I practiced law for 60 years. I'm still associated with my law firm. And I reflected back on a different age when there were very thoughtful architects and planners that wrote books about urban development and the excitement. For example, in Chicago, there was an architect named Sullivan, and you can still see some of his buildings, and at that time, they were very modern. And what is my point? My point is, are we going to be positive about America? Are we going to see the potential of America? Or are we going to whine about the democratic cities as long as he's in office? And that's what I resent.
I agree.
I don't like it.
100% agree with you, because I was thinking about this from the standpoint of diversity. Something else that happened since last time you and I got together. My stepfather died. My second stepfather, September 25th of last year, 2:30 in the morning. Now, Jim, looks like you.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. And you think he's white. He's black. And the point being, when people talk about DEI and everything, I'm thinking, you know what? I could bring people in here where someone would think that they were, white as you are and they're black. And the point is that you can't tell who a person is by the color of their skin. And then we're all mixed up and so wonderfully that if you go back, I would say 300 years in anyone's ancestry, you're going to find one drop of color at some point. So what, but it's amazing.
We were all, I wrote this in my book. I'm writing a new book. And I wrote this pretty much what you just said in my book, in that, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen of America, but every one of us, except Native Americans, has a beginning family history that were foreigners to the United States. It's all there were in 1600, earlier actually 1500. There were a few visits by people and so forth. But basically, the all of us, I'm Irish American.
Ah,
And one of the terrible things that Trump has done is to basically
oh, I got to ask you a quick question.
outlaw. Yeah.
Harrington's or the Royal Exchange?
Yeah. Well, it's going to be St. Patrick's Day. And if you don't mind, Mr. President, I'm diverse. Okay. I'm third generation. My great grandmother was 9 years old when she got on a boat because of the hunger, and she came to this country. There's a lot of Irish Americans in this country, and if you're going to write a piece of paper, which he did, that we're not allowed any further, and worse than that, you're going to drive certain people back into the closet
Yep.
because you use hate to divide this country. And for the president, one thing if somebody out there wants to censor in Texas Plato and you not allow college students to read Plato, but that's, that'll take care of itself. But for the president to divide people, to talk about race in a not very subtle way, to attract certain groups against other groups, to do that, that's unacceptable. There's my speech. Okay.
And I want to remind everybody that San Francisco is one of the great cities. It has a fantastic Irish history.
Tell them.
Had the pleasure of meeting people like, I think of Terrence Hallinan. I think, wow. So many people, just my head explodes. I think of the people, my friend Mike O'Shea, who owns Royal Exchange, which is also a great cow bar, by the way. And I don't want to start crying because I miss everybody because I'm here. I'm kind of out of water, if we will.
Well, we've been a city that people would come to when they arrive in the United States, among others, of course. And very often it depends whether they have a relative that's in that city. But San Francisco is a very cosmopolitan city, a very complex ethnic, gender, you name it. We've had, and we like that. We like it. And guess what? Ladies and gentlemen out there listening, we're going to fight for it.
Yeah, amen.
We're not going there.
Nope. No way.
I like our new mayor. Vanderbilt has just declared that they're going to open a campus. Vanderbilt is an Eastern college of great distinction. Okay. There's a lot of good going on in San Francisco.
Yeah, mayor's doing a kick job. Yeah.
For the president to get on TV and talk about us in the way that he talks disqualifies him, in my book, from being president of the United States. He does not have the qualities that we need, and Chicago needs it, and Portland needs it, and Seattle needs it, and we need it in Tennessee and other places. Bring us all together. Who's going to do that? I'm waiting.
Yeah, me too. And I hope it's Gavin that can safely get be elected. I think that would be a great.
He's very interesting. He did a lot of very interesting things over the years.
Yeah, and he's really come into his own as a leader. I'm very proud of him. So come.
Yeah.
How do you see? How's your time, by the way?
My time is fine.
Cool. How do you see this Supreme Court case coming along with these tariffs? Do you think that we are?
Well, they're going to decide it. Yeah. But they're gonna rule for Trump. Tariffs is not the first president to have tariffs. George Washington had tariffs. But there was a reason that Washington needed them. They had no industry to speak of. And they wanted to build up American companies And to do that, Washington thought he should have tariffs. So we can't say nobody ever had tariffs before. What we can say is this government is divided into three parts. That wasn't accidental.
Mm-hmm.
A French philosopher named Montesquieu created the idea of three departments to avoid corruption. So the Congress could look at what the president was doing, the president could agree or not with Congress, and the courts would oversee it. Now we have one man signing documents sitting at a table. To me, that's not a subtle matter needing a lot of complex analysis. That's a dictator.
Yes. Yeah.
And it would be bad enough if he was doing that. But when he ignores the law, he ignores the Constitution, he has got this deportation, which is needed in some ways, but out of control as administered, then we've got a serious problem.
And that leads me to this next question, which is a hard one for me to ask, but I will. Is it fair to fear a united Europe trying to, well, through, of course, their intelligence programs and their secret service programs, go after our president?
Go after what?
Our president. Is Trump? I'll just say, is Trump inviting a situation where our allies try to separate us from our president?
Well, let me break that down a little bit. I don't think there's much question. The Russians have had an active program designed to carry out Russian policies in connection with the election and all of that. How much that amounts to affecting the actual world, I don't know. But there's certainly been things of that kind. What has to happen is a program within the law to regain the quality of our leadership. And my party has been working almost too hard publicly about how they're going to do it. But the Democratic Party has never had in my lifetime as much material to use against the president as they have at the moment. So within the law,
coming up next month, by the way.
Yeah, within the law, it can be done. And the people are kind of our last resort. They're out on the sidewalks with signs, and there's a lot of them. And they should be out there.
They
and
really
should be more out there.
Yeah, and they have to get I'm seeing it around here. What's going on is in Fayetteville, you had the last city council election, the two incumbent Republicans, incumbent like last 30 years. One was in his office for 30 years.
Yeah.
Thereabouts. Ousted.
Yeah.
And both ousted and replaced, both white and older male, ousted and replaced by young African Americans.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen that before here. And as you look down the landscape of politics here, I can see Georgia turning purple this year. And I mean a pretty good, strong shade of purple. Not like, purple red. And it's because I have a client who's Republican. I take both sides, but he is my client because he's a good man. He's a Fayette County judge, Jason B. Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
And, he met him 10 years ago because my mom was in an accident at 80. Wasn't really an accident at all. It was buzzing a fender bender. It was just really a complaint that was made to look like something it wasn't. And Jason looked at my mom and said in the court, well, wait a minute. This is your first incident? How old are you? And mom said 80. And This is your lucky day. Case dismissed. And so, as a way of
Well,
saying,
I'm personally glad to hear that's going on. That's good.
yeah. And so, as a way of saying thanks, I interviewed him because I love to interview you people, as you
Yeah.
can tell. And we stayed in touch. And then I tell him, I'm moving more smartly into online reputation management and AI bot training. Because now, if you put out something online, it's not only goes to that page where it's at, but AI picks it up, and so it goes to another search engine, and then another one. You got a real problem, so you got to get rid of it fast. Anyway, he says, I might need you, and so now he's a client, and I'm proud of that. But I say to him, you have to really, and he understands this, you have to really continue what you're doing because everybody loves you, they know you. You're everywhere. You shouldn't lose, right? But the climate is so crazy because as I tell him,
It
that guy in
is.
the White House is giving you a problem.
It is. You'd be a good person for me to ask you this. I'm writing another book. I'll have it ready April, May, June. And the book is called The Excluded. And it's a history, and I think that you would like this book. It's a history of the excluded, what it took to gain the rights that we gained, and how Trump is not following the rights that people have. But here's the thing about the book. In the course of writing the book, I wondered, and I'd be very interested in your reaction to this, if the role for the Democratic Party should make it clear that they are for all of the excluded people in the country, all of them. So, for example, there are farmers who have great difficulty at the moment. Why wouldn't Democrats be talking about that visibly with a program? They don't do it. There are other groups that are suffering under this program. There are it's them and us in a way that I think maybe limits the pull of the Democratic Party. And there was a time, the Farm Labor Party in Minnesota is still called that, by the way, when the breadth of a political party was very important. We're for all of you. If you're excluded, and you feel excluded and you're this or that, we're for you. We're the Democratic Party, and we're for you. And we're going to go to your neighborhoods and we're going to walk around and talk to you. We care about all of you. Does that make any sense?
It does. Makes a lot of sense. And also, I think the answer to your question as to why it's not working like it should, from my perspective,
yeah, that's what I want,
is because social media is used as a way of gaslighting what could be an argument that does galvanize people to come together. Let me give you an example, just locally, okay? Or I'll go national and come local. I believe that Donald Trump's style of being nasty and has so ignited a different type of media, the social media, and made social media the lead way we get our news, is that even people on the Democratic side feel like they have to talk that way and behave that way, and they wind up dividing the party within. I'll give you a classic example.
That's a great example.
Oakland Mayor Shang Tao was doing that. Yes, the same person who was recalled and the person who was indicted for selling jobs, number of things. But at any rate, Shang would call other people, and some of her people at one point called me right wing. I said, why am I right wing? Because I don't I mean, they could never define it, right? But they had to. I mean, for me, it was like, okay, so you're a black guy who's, you know, speaks in detail. Therefore, you've got to be the other. Seriously, Jim, I'm not kidding you.
I have no doubt.
And so suddenly I'm the other, and I'm right wing. Oh, okay, fine. So I say fine, or I'm white. I say I'm Mr. White for you. Fine, no problem. But my point is that it's that kind of discourse within our party that stops us from going into detailed policy solutions like tax increment financing. Before Jerry Brown killed redevelopment in 2011, redevelopment fueled by, and what is tax increment financing for those who don't know, it's where you're living in an area where we all say, oh, this area is blighted, and the property tax that we pay, instead of it going to 22% the city of Oakland, 30% the county of Alameda, BART, AC Transit, the school district, we'll take it all except the school district, which still gets its money, and we'll use this to finance new development in this area, finance cleanup, finance Head Start, a whole litany of changes we can make by California law, which is it's always expanding, right? Okay, fine. But all right, Jerry kills it in 2011. It gets revived in 2015. What happens within that time? Two things. First of all, market rate housing in Oakland develops in every place else. Like boom, there's a boom because of tech. People get pushed out. We don't have the same money for affordable housing construction to be built at the rate it was.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't see the effects of that until 2014. At that point, Jerry then signs in a law, SB 628 Beal by Jim Beal, who's down in San Jose there, and so I'm going to let that go there. But at any rate, ignoring that. But at any rate, and so what happens is that redevelopment is killed, where 342 redevelopment offices in California are all gone. Now we're down to like 14. And what's the impact of that, folks? Affordable housing money is dried up. It's not like it used to be. Homeless population is larger in area. Oakland is still growing. Other places, it's there, right? But you would say, okay, bring back redevelopment, bring back taxing and financing as it was, right? Bring back the 20% set aside for affordable housing. Not happening. And worse, when you try to explain what redevelopment is to people who are in office now, it goes through one ear and out the other and becomes Zennie's idea in the Oakland parlance, as opposed to what it was when we had it, Jim. We used it in Oakland to pay a part of staff, which means our deficits were small. So we get rid of it. What happens? Our deficits are big. Okay. And then you have Jerry Brown coming along and saying, as he did in 2020, and then later, like I think a year ago, oh, by the way, we were using redevelopment to pay the unions. Well, yeah, so what? I said to someone, I'm not going to say with name persons, people you'll know, but I said to this person, do you realize that cost is not going to go away? We still have to pay the cost because that's what they have to do as part of their job. That's not going to go away. So what we were able to load it off to redevelopment agency, let them pay it. Now we got nothing, so the city suffers. And that's what we're dealing with. So my point is the complexities, or what I see is simple, of legislation that would allow Democrats to do what Democrats do, right? Make government better by providing services, by providing the money where it can go, has been killed because you have elected officials that don't want to think in a way that we have these programs that make government work. So what do we get instead? We get pile upon pile upon pile of general obligation bond legislation that then causes what? The taxes to go up and people to move out, which we don't need to have happen. Okay. And that's the situation we're in right now in Oakland. And it's horrible. We've ossified, we make government straitjack like this. Meanwhile, we have elected officials that when they get up, instead of talking about how they're going to fix these little problems, they talk about Trump.
How, and this is a tough question, and you've illustrated it quite well. how do we get into the local consciousness or the American consciousness, the debates like the one you just had with yourself and me about how to uh, have affordable housing? That's the if they came to me and said, we want you to run for office, I say, what exactly is your solution for affordable housing? All those young people out there can't get a house; they're renting, and what exactly is the plan? Part of it is priorities of where government money goes, and that's a whirlwind of reckless spending on things and tax structure. The tax structure, I saw in this morning's paper that really it might not be good to tax the rich because they'll move out to go somewhere.
Yeah, I saw that.
And okay, but if you keep it and everybody in the country sees that they're not paying taxes, which is a fairly large group of very incredibly wealthy people, then where is the fiber of your civilian partnership in this government? How are we together if you do that?
I have an idea, a solution, but
Good.
I'll just
Good.
throw it out. I think it has to be a funded type of media that causes us to talk to each other in a video way, not in a text way, because text leads to a different type of,
Yeah.
right? But then they're around debates or discussions about specific policy ideas, and you make this sort of a game. Now, how that would work in terms of rewarding people to watch and rewarding people to debate, right? That sort of thing. Maybe they win a prize, something like that, right? But I believe that kind of mechanism could go a long way toward getting people together to talk about these. I mean, we have to do it that way because we don't have the water cooler like we did before. We do have the water cooler in the sense that we have text, we talk to each other, but we don't have as much. The appointment television we have now is the Super Bowl. We know everybody's going to watch the Super Bowl, right? But we don't know that everybody's going to watch what we're watching other than the Super Bowl. And there's a way to change that, and I think that may be one.
What are the problems of America? The real problems, not Venezuela.
Yeah.
Although if you could reduce drugs, you would have done something meaningful. If you could do it appropriately and lawfully.
Healthcare.
But on that agenda, I would ask the question to the American people: how many people do you think there are who are illiterate, can't read and can't write? Do you know some? Are there some around you that are like that? What is the plan for helping as many of those people as we can? What is the plan in terms of, in my youth, certainly, I spent a lot of time in school and otherwise thinking about criminal theories and rehabilitation and how you do it and all those kind of things.
Or it occurs to me, here's a question. I think a question can be posed within that is, should we start rewarding through legislation AI that aids those who cannot read or write well?
Yeah.
Right?
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a lot of people. But you know what it also do too? Is it would, I believe, if correctly designed and correctly disseminated, it would ignite a new workforce.
Yes.
Of people who can monitor these machines to make sure they're working and have the appropriate response, because we're going to need that with all these things out here anyway. Right? We can't just let these things operate. We have to have somebody that says, remember Bart and the whole line that Bart was going to be electronically controlled and worry about it. But the reality was what? Oh, you're reading the newspaper, because on days we had the newspapers, and when in 75 Bart open, and you go over this overpass that's over San Leandro Boulevard. Next thing you know, the door opens. It's like, I was on a BART train when that happened once. I was like, whoa, you got to be kidding me, man. Okay. the bottom line is we had to do something about it. So what do? We put monitors in the cars.
There are solutions,
People.
and there are people who have those solutions. Some are professors, and you have to respect that. The research is out there for helping the excluded, which is a theme in my book. It's out there, it can be done. But what are we talking about this afternoon? We're talking about Venezuela. But before we even focus on Venezuela, if we do, which is a very big deal, we're talking about Greenland. And then we're talking, evidently, we have tensions with the European community. Where's the policy in that, and where does that come from, and why are we doing it? Why are we doing it? And why is Congress reached this state of stratification where they sit and let it happen? Why? I have seen people in Congress over the years, I can think of some, that were as tough as nails, and they were determined. For example, on the Democratic side, they were determined to help the excluded, the people who were the victims of cheap labor, which has always been an issue. Yeah. And I admire some of the companies where they agreed to go to a higher amount so that people can try to live on that amount. That is one of the most urgent questions. And how many millions of people are in that economic exclusion? And will there be a lot more now?
That's a scary.
Well, okay, but are there answers? And what we want within the law is people who can supply those answers, but you have to listen to it. Sometimes when I see Trump and he's attacking the universities, he's attacking research, he's canceling money for research. And I think, my God, he's taking us back into the Middle Ages. He's taking us back because somebody in his base is suspicious of professors. Is that what he's doing? What is he doing? So
the people have a right to know too. That's the other thing. We have a right to know.
Yeah.
We really do. I am going to do this because it's 6:11 here, and I'm going to say we need to pick this up again soon.
Okay.
Preferably after the Supreme Court decision regarding tariffs, because now I'm scared because you did remind me. You say, "Hey, well, presidents can have that right." Oh no, he's no.
If it was going to work and help the American economy, I'd say tariffs are fine. But I'll leave you with one point. My son-in-law works for a coffee company, and Trump put tariffs on coffee. Now, what is the purpose of that? Where in the United States are we going to build this coffee exactly? If I was a reporter and questioning Trump, I'd say, where are we going to build coffee in the United States? And by the way, when you make coffee more expensive, that is not acceptable to the American.
No, in fact, you know what? You gave me. I'm going to take all these videos I've made. I haven't shared. You haven't seen them yet, but when I go to the store, in order to really save my hip and everything, I use an electric buggy. Someone have to, right? And I vlog as I'm on the buggy. So I've taken upon myself to vlog coffee prices.
Yeah.
So I got basically 3 different videos over the past year.
Yeah.
And if I put them together, you'll see how these prices went from like $7.99 to $21 for the same.
Yeah.
You
have to make a loan. Go to the bank. I want to get a cup of coffee.
And now I want coffee. With that, Jim, don't move a muscle. Everybody, we're going to have this man back. Get his book, please. Get his book.
Thank you, Zennie.
You
Thank
got it.
you.
You got it.
Thank you so much.
And Jim, don't move a muscle because I got a question for you after. Right. That ends this stream. Thank you. And subscribe to Zennie62 and bookmark ZennieReport.com, and also our newest, that is our newest site, but also our newly refurbished site, NFL News by Zennie62.com. We have 100 sites, Jim. 100.
Really? That's amazing.
Yeah, 100. And well, I'll tell you the rest of it off. That ends